Have you ever asked yourself, why me? Why me? Why not you? Have you asked that? Why not you? If you want to build your dream life, then this live is for you. Hey y'all, welcome back to another live with Shalina B. Happy Tuesday to you all. Happy Wednesday, whatever day you are watching on IG or YouTube or whatever platform you are watching this from. Hope you are having an amazing day. I hope you had an amazing weekend. I'm excited about today's topic. We have been talking about a spring refresh. We've talked about refreshing your self-care and your routines. We've talked about laundry. We've talked about purging. All the things in spring. All the things we love to do. Purge, organize, declutter, getting our minds right, getting our homes right. Just getting us prepared. You always want to be in position. You always want to be prepared for what's to come, because we never know what is next. But we always want to be prepared because preparation is key. So as we continue on the spring refresh, there's something that is special in the month of May. The month of May is this year is my 5th year anniversary of content creation, going full time in content creation, developing my business, all those things. It started 5 years ago on Mother's Day, 2020, in the pandemic. One life-changing decision has led me here 5 years ago has led me here. And who would have thought I would be living in an answered prayer? I'd be living in a dream that I never thought that I would be living in, because the way that I thought my life was going to go is not how it is. And time and time again, I am learning the beauty in what God had for my life and what the dream looks like for me. I know we all have heard about, the picket fence, the family, the dog, all those things that you envision as like the dream. Or, you go to college, you get married, you have the kids, you get the job, that type of thing. But this dream is a little different. So, but nonetheless, I am living in God's plan for me, and I think that is the ultimate dream life. So I was trying to figure out, what did I want to share as we approach my 5th year as a content creator, 5th year of making this big decision. I wanted to share my story, but I also, as always, I want to give you all some tips so you can do the thing as well. So as we are in spring, and as we just want to maybe approach new things, do new things, new hobbies, new ambitions, job change, baby, whatever it is. Maybe you're itching to do something and maybe you don't know where to start. Maybe you are fearful of starting. Maybe you have started, but you've put it on pause. You've had setbacks. So if you were looking for a sign, let this be your sign, and let this be the reason you get right back on the saddle and you keep going, because that one decision that you make will change the course of your entire life. So I'm going to share with you 5 steps, 5 tips to build your dream life. So just stay tuned to those tips. So congrats to me. Happy anniversary to me. It's so crazy to think that I have been doing this for 5 years. I'm not surprised though. It's crazy to think about it, but I'm not surprised, because I always saw myself in front of the camera and connecting with people, but you just never know how that manifests in the end. And I think sometimes we can be very discouraged on our paths because the exact dream that we thought was supposed to be looks very different. And if we do not prepare ourselves mentally and prepare our perspectives in a certain way, we can really miss out on a lot of our blessings, miss out on our purpose. And 5 years ago, I was working a 9-to-5. We had our twin boys. So they were 4 at the time, in daycare. So they weren't even in school yet. We were in our, I would say second place of living, but our first home. We had an apartment when we got married, and we had our twins, and then probably 6 months after we had our twins, we moved into our first home, our starter home. So yeah, we were doing the thing. We were deep in the pandemic. We were both working from home at the time because everything was shut down. I was working upstairs in our bedroom. I had a little desk in our bedroom. I also had a office downstairs, but it was just easier for me to work upstairs, especially if the kids were there. And my husband had his office downstairs that he worked in as well. Again, like I said, deep into the pandemic, work was stressful because I was a part of an emergency preparedness team for the pandemic. And we had a lot of partners to manage at the time as well, to get them running and making sure that they serve their patients and clients as well. So it was just a very, very stressful time at that time. But one thing that I've always had really great mentors in my life, and I'm thankful for my mentors. I miss them dearly. I definitely need to get back to connecting with them, but I know this little period of my life has just been a whirlwind, but they always will hold a place in my heart. So they always had a word for me. They always have checked in on me and just making sure that they pray over me and my trajectory and my path along the way. And I was talking to one of my mentors just a random day, probably around sometime in early 2020. Like I said, I started in May, so it might have been maybe April, or a little bit before that. And she asked me, like, what are your outlets? What things do you enjoy outside of work? And at the time, I've always had self-care. I've always been a routine queen. So, and that structure came from as a child, but even as me having children, us having twins right off the bat, I had to have structure. I had to have routines. But I didn't necessarily have like hobbies per se. I liked going to yoga. I like to work out. I like to hang with friends, but no hobby or outlets outside of that. And the unfortunate thing, when the pandemic was here, if all my hobbies were outside of the home and I had to be in the home, that means that I didn't have any outlets. And when she asked me that, I was like, I don't know. She was like, well, what do you want to do? What do you enjoy doing? And I know a question that we often hear are like, if you could do something that you didn't get paid for, what would it be? And I've always loved, being an encourager, giving advice, being a listener, supporting people in all the ways that I can, encouraging them, giving them, good advice. That's always been something very close and near and dear to me. So I was like, well, that is what I can do. That is what I like to do. And something else that I've always done, I would think about a hobby. I would think about something that I like doing, but then I would always attach like money to it. Can I make money off of this? And she was like, think about something you want to do that you don't have to attach money to it. You don't have to make a business out of it. Because I feel like that's hard. That's something that a lot of us do. Like, oh, I could do this. I can make money. I think that's just how some of us, our brains are wired. But in this instance, I was trying to figure out, well, what is it that I like to do? What is an outlet that I enjoy? And again, being that we were online, we were shut down, we were in the homes, I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. If you see me looking, I'm looking at my notes and then I'm looking at the monitor because I think one of my kids just woke up, but they'll be fine. So I needed an outlet, and that outlet ended up being the internet. And I had always been on the internet, post, like everybody else, we post family pictures and, whatever we're doing in the moment. But I got serious and I was like, what? I want my page to be a page of encouragement, of love, spreading joy, and just helping people through this pandemic the best way I know how to. And already having a health and wellness background, somebody who prioritized their self-care anyway, I figured I could maybe help others in this thing. I had schedules and structure for my kids. I, was pretty organized with my days at work and work from home, and having the kids there. That was something that, I kind of just went with the flow. So I started just posting encouraging things. I would post like, make sure that you breathe, that you move your body, that, you find your own outlet and stuff. So I just really tried to just send as much joy, as much, how to take care of yourself as possible online. And eventually I built connections through the sharing. I've been able to have speaking engagements and sold products and had brand deals. And I feel like I've been able to grow a really cool community. And I'm so thankful for the progress. I'm so thankful for the lessons and the journey. I'm so thankful for all of you who have been on this journey, whether you are new or you've been rocking with me since before I really got on this journey online. It has been an amazing journey. It has been a lot of ups and downs. And I think that is something that we don't see often. We always, mostly online, see the highlight reels. We see the good moments, but we don't see what it's taken to get there. So that is something that I want to share, those lessons of, what did it take to get there? Because it's not all bubbles and roses. It really does take some steps to really get to the good part, and also continue to have good parts throughout the times where it's not actually great. So the way that I realized that I was living in these, I guess I'll get into the 5 lessons of how I knew that I was living in my dream life. And I had these 3 goals in life. It wasn't the get married, get kids type of thing, but I did have a goal of always building a home. My mom built the home that I lived in. I believe she was building it while I was in her belly. And when I was born, the home was finished or almost finished, and we moved into it. So that was something that I always cherished. I always was excited about. I saw somebody, or I knew somebody that was able to build their home. So I knew that that's something that I wanted to do. So that was something that I was able to do. We were able to build our now home, which was, it was a really good process, actually. Sometimes I hear a lot of ups and downs about the building process, but ours, we prayed over that. I said, God, I don't want to go through a lot of headache when it comes to building this home. I want some ease with this, because my dad had passed away literally the 2 days before we were moving, and I was 8 months pregnant. So it was a lot at that point that I was dealing with. A lot of life transitions, a lot of big life events at the time. So so even before that point, before we moved in, but when we were in the process of just figuring out homes and stuff like that, I just said, I need ease. And I think that God knew that all of these things were coming. So he provided us ease with the house, the building process and everything. And we had a couple things here and there, but I would say most of the time, everything went really smoothly. And I'm so thankful for that. My second goal was to work for myself. I have had a lot of wonderful jobs, wonderful managers, just wonderful organizations that I've worked for, but something was just always missing, or I would clash with some leader or somebody who just didn't want me to shine in the way that I needed to shine, or didn't want my advice or my opinion. So it just never worked. And I always felt like God had a bigger plan for me. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what it was. I knew for me, a job was safety. I put a lot of my worthiness in my positions. I wanted to climb the ladder, just like we were told, just like the next person. But I think God had to give me a rude awakening. And he was like, if this is what you want, if you desire to work for yourself, you're going to have to start from the bottom and work your way up. But throughout that, it's been a lot of ups and downs, but it has been what I asked for, is what I prayed for. And sometimes we pray for something, and then God gives us the path and the journey to get there, and we don't want it anymore. So it really matters the way that we look at things, the way that we see things, and to acknowledge God is giving me the thing, but I have to work for it as well. It's not just going to fall in my lap. And to be grateful and to thank God for that path, and for loving us enough to give us the desires of our hearts, even if it doesn't look exactly like what we envisioned it to look like. And then the third goal I had was to tell my story. So I think as I got online and I connected with people, your storytelling is just so important in any way. But I knew that I had a message for people, and I know that online is just one flat platform, and there are a lot of other platforms to share. But I knew one day I want to be on multiple stages, sharing, my story, helping more women that I'm already helping, moms, anybody who I can encourage along the way. And again, that's something that there are highs and lows of each of those, but God has been blessing me with that. And like I said, it's very important that we recognize what our goals and what our dreams are. And when God gives us the path to get there, that we recognize that what they are. So because of that, I'm just so thankful for being here. I'm still on my journey. I have not arrived, and I don't know if we ever arrive. I think we are always learning and growing and on our paths. And I think it's important to remember that we are always learning and growing and on these paths, because sometimes what we see online is not always, reality or our reality. And I think that that's okay. And sometimes that comparison could really get to us and make us, quit our goals, but we got to keep going, because our path is our path, and our purpose is as long as it's God aligned, it's going to take you where you need to be, and it's going to give you the success that you desire. So like I said, from these last 5 years and me being online, me connecting with people, the highs and lows of content creation and owning my own business, these are the 5 lessons that I've learned to build my dream life. So the first lesson, these aren't in any type of order either, but we're just going to go along with it. So the first step is to take risks and allow space for failure. So that's what I did. I took risk and I allowed and made space for failure. I don't like failure. I was never a person that liked to fail. If I was in certain competitions growing up, I would take it real hard. I didn't like to be rejected, all those things. I took it real hard when things did not go my way or I did not win. I would be really down on myself. But I realized in entrepreneurship, fall forward. What they say, fail forward, fall fast, fail fast, and get back up and keep going. But I think that those times of failure really helped to make sure that I was leaning on God, that I was praying to Him, that I was giving it to Him, but that I was learning that, sometimes the lesson is in the failure. The lesson is in what didn't go well. Because when things are always going well, sometimes we don't take the time to reevaluate, to figure out, where am I? What is this? What's next? But you have to sometimes take that moment of just to pause, to be upset, to cry about it. And then more than likely, God is going to give you that next step and you will keep building from there. And I think it's great to take risks, because you don't know if you're going to fail or succeed on the other side of that, but you won't know if you don't try. My friend always says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And it's a very true statement. So fearful or not, take the risk. What's the worst that can happen? I was listening to a podcast that they said, what's the worst that can happen? Think about the things that's the worst that can happen. And then what's the best that can happen out of the situation? So if the worst thing can happen, somebody says no to a proposal or no to something that you wanted to do. But the best is they say yes, or you're able to do the thing. So you literally don't know. So it's important to take those risks anyway. And some of the failures that I've had failed launches. I've created courses that nobody purchased. I was consistently starting over. So I would get to a certain place, and I don't know if it was a self-sabotage or what, but I would get to a certain place where everything was going well and I was going real successful, and then I would stop. And I would start over. And it was so frustrating every time that it happened. I didn't understand why it was happening or what was going on. So I really had to take some time to just reevaluate and to pause and to figure out, why does this keep happening? What is going on? I've lost my passion sometimes. I know we've all heard, remember your why, go back to your why, because if you don't have a why, you don't have anything to grasp on in those hard times, because motivation alone is not going to help you reach success. You have to have some discipline, some consistency, and momentum, and sometimes going back to why you're doing this in the first place. What is your purpose? What is your reason? What is your passion for doing this? Can really help you jumpstart and get back on board. So yeah, I've lost my passion a lot of times. Why am I doing this? It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Because again, sometimes we are in that comparison mindset. We are seeing all the flashing lights and the people that are making the millions and have the millions of followers that we feel like our 2 or 3 or 4 people or 400 people is not impactful. But what I had to tell myself is if I help one person every time I show up online, if one person joins my live, if one person watches my live, if one person, gained something from it, I've done my job. I've done enough. And that has helped me just kind of shut out the rest of the noise. You know, I've heard friends that say, I don't know how you get online, or I don't know how you get on your stories and talk about this stuff. And I was like, honestly, somebody cares, you know, and I'm fulfilling my purpose in my ministry. And this is where God has me. So it's not going to always feel good. It's not going to always look shiny. But I have to show up the way that God has me to show up on this path. And like I said, you have to take some of those risks. You have to be willing to maybe look a little silly, but obviously in the way that God has you. I'm not telling you to go out and do pranks and do stuff that is not God aligned, but you know, what may be silly to somebody else may be what gets you through some doors you've been trying to get into. So, if you have a passion, if God is calling you to something, follow that and take that path, because you just never know what's on the other side. You never know what's on that side. So some of those risks that I've had, I mentioned some of the failures that I've had, but some of those risks where I sold products, I created a Prioritize Her self-care box that had a whole bunch of like body products. I had like a little self-care guide. And I was really proud of that. And I sold all of them that I created. And I had a lot of support, and I was like, wow, you know, that is a very... That story is close to my heart as well, because I was in a rut. I was in a moment of like, God, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. And I remember that day I prayed about it and I went to sleep. God was like, go take a nap, go to sleep. And I took a nap, which is also was kind of rare, but at that time I didn't really take naps like that. But I took a nap, and when I woke up, God gave me this idea. He was like, you're going to make this Prioritize Her box. You're going to talk to this vendor for these products. You're going to go here for this and that. Like, everything literally fell into place. And it, like I said, it was a couple bumps and hiccups along the way, but God was behind all of that. So if I would have never put it out there, I would have known if it would have been successful. And it was. And now I understand what it takes to sell products. I understand like the back end systems. I understand what it takes to put things together, to mail them off, to package them. All of those things. Like I had basically like a mini warehouse, and it was kind of cool to have that experience. So now, you know, if I want to do it again, I have the experience to back me up to do that. I've had a couple master classes along the way that I feel that have been very impactful, that have been helpful. I have enjoyed them. I enjoyed connecting with them. Excited to have reached the goal that I wanted, the attendance goal, the people that I wanted there. Again, I've said I've built and launched courses. I've had speaking engagements. I've had brand partnerships, and I've made a lot of connections. So, if I never, you know, took the risk to get on social media on Mother's Day, like on Mother's Day, my husband took a whole photo shoot. And then we went on Canva and we made some graphics, and that's when the journey began. Just some Mother's Day posts. And then from there, I did some encouragement, some faith-based stuff, some prayers. And then it just grew from there. And shout out to Canva too, because Canva, and my husband, of course, but Canva's been that girl, and it still is. So very, very helpful for a newbie, and it's still helping, you know, now as a more experienced content creator and business owner. That has been very helpful. So take risk, and make space for failure. That is the first step. The second step, again, in no particular order, is deepen your relationship with God and trust God's process. And for me, this did not come till later on, because again, like my relationship has always been close to God, but I think this entrepreneur journey that I didn't know I was going to be on was a little different, and there was a lot to get used to, because again, I think in January 2022 is when I quit my job. So not having that support, that stability, it was very, very different to be out on my own and to really figure out what that path was and to question my path, whether or not this was where I was supposed to be. Like, God, was I supposed to do this? Question those things. But knowing that I had prayed, like I didn't just quit my job prematurely. I prayed about it. I prayed and everything was aligning and leading to that. And though it didn't feel good, I know that that was the best decision that I could have done, especially for the path that God has for me. So definitely making sure that you are connected to God, you're aligned with his purpose for your life. You have discernment because you are going to have a lot of things in your ear when you are, online or just people in your life. You're going to hear a lot of different things. So discerning God's voice and knowing that it's him that is giving you the direction is so very important. Because that's the only way that I know that I'm on the right path. And I still struggle with this at times. I mean, I think we are all human and sometimes we question our path. We don't know if we are on the right path or maybe it goes down a weird lane and it doesn't feel good, but keep praying, keep trusting, and making sure that you surrender. Like you truly surrender, you truly give it over to God. And literally for me, that was saying like, God, I am fully surrendering. I'm giving it to you. Whatever this path looks like, I'm going to go on it. No matter how hard it gets, we're still going to stay on this path. If you happen to veer it another way, I trust that you're going to continue to lead me back to where I'm supposed to be. And that's a very hard thing to do. It's not an easy thing to surrender your life over like that. Or maybe it wasn't for me. But I knew that I was trying to do things on my own for so long and nothing was shaking. Nothing felt good. It felt forced. But I knew going with God, I would find ease. Even in the midst of chaos, even in the midst of uncertainty, he would definitely give me ease. The third step is building a community online, connecting with like-minded women, being open to that level of support and connection. Because a part of entrepreneurship, solopreneurship, and just your presence online, you need to build community and connections. That's how you grow. That's how you network. Just like you do that in real life, in person, you do that online as well. And it might be a little bit harder online to connect with people and to build those relationships, but they matter and they're very important. And for me, when I really got serious and kind of knew my direction online, I searched for that coaching support because I knew I didn't really understand social media at the time. I didn't know how to really brand and market myself. And I knew that if I'm taking this seriously, I want to take it to the next step. So I found a business coach named Jasmine Chanel of Mom to Mogul. Shout out to you. She had I love this program because one, it was business focused. She has like a marketing and business background, but also she was a mom. I think she was a mom of 2 at the time. She was pregnant and then she ended up having 3 later on. And the fact that it was mother focused means that you understand that I still have to juggle being a mom. I have to juggle being a wife, and I want to show up for myself and my business. So I was able to get those marketing and business tips, as well as like how to balance as being all those things, because entrepreneurship was a new thing for me. So it being in that, I was able to meet more women, like-minded women, those who were kind of on the same journey, on the same path. And from that, I found my accountability partner, Tatiana. Shout out to you if you're watching. I found my accountability partner, which has become one of my best friends. And that connection has been absolutely amazing. Not only do we hold each other accountable in our businesses, we support each other as moms, as wives. And that has been an amazing, amazing connection, amazing relationship, and it continues to grow and blossom. And as an adult, sometimes it could be hard to make friends. It could be hard to find your circle and find your people. But that was something that I definitely set out to do. That is something that I prayed for. And that's something that over time, God has really led me to. And, another thing, when finding those like-minded women, sometimes you have to let go of others that do not serve you, others that may be distracting you, that maybe you've had ties because of history or whatever it is. If it's toxic, if it does not serve you, if you are around people who are cheering for your downfall and they're quiet when you are doing well, those are the people that you need to be around. And you know who those people are. You know how you feel or your spirit feels when they're around. You know if they're taking subtle jabs at you or fun shade, whatever that case may be. If you're trying to grow and level up on this path, you have to have people there who, one, are on their own path and their own journey. So they're not worrying about what you're doing, but they're there to support you. They're there to pray with you and pray for you as you go through your highs and lows, your ups and downs on your path. But I find that if you are around people that maybe have a limited mindset or only can see how as far as they are, then they'll probably bring you down too. But sometimes I know the reverse of that. Sometimes they can see and their eyes can be open along the way, but you have to be open-minded. Your heart has to be open, their heart has to be open, and you have to be open-minded to really see what it could be in the future. But yeah, I definitely think that building community can really take you far. Even me as building my community, I've learned so much from so many women in my community as we are building. I feel like you learn from each other. So it's not just me pouring in to all of you, but also I get to learn from you as well. We get to connect, and I think that is amazing and beautiful. And some of you I've met in person. So building community and getting those connections is nice, especially as a business owner and a mom. It's just so much that we can connect on, we can relate to, because momming is not easy, but showing up for yourself, making time for your hobbies and your ambitions and your businesses and stuff, really make an impact and really make a difference. And having that support in those hard nights when you are on your computer trying to come up with something. I remember I was working early mornings and late nights, while working my 9 to 5, while the kids were home during the pandemic, because I really believed in myself and I really believed that I had something to share with the world and share with those that God connect me to. So having those people that are doing the same thing, that are grinding too, really helps you feel less alone on the journey and in the process. The third step is to change your mindset and your belief system. And this is a huge thing that I when I first joined the coaching program, when I first got involved in this, I didn't understand how big belief systems really mattered, but they can really make or break how far you go in life. I'm somebody who was always a big dreamer. I've always had big goals and ambitions, but unfortunately I had surrounded myself with people with smaller goals and smaller visions, and those who can only see what's in front of them, but not see what is beyond and what God has for their lives. And I let a lot of those beliefs hold me back. I've let a lot of those beliefs and those people dim my light, because I thought that I was extra or I was too much. But they weren't enough. The saying that maybe I'm too much, but you're not enough. But yeah, I needed to step into myself fully and who God has me to be. And I think that online is definitely a place to do that, to really explore that and really challenge yourself and change your beliefs and believe that who you're going to reach, you will reach, because you are yourself. And that's the one thing about the internet. People will see right through you. And you'll connect with those who connect with you. So with your quirks and stuff that you do or that you show up, somebody's going to connect with those. I know I do. I'll be watching a YouTube video or watching a video, and the video and content itself is great, but maybe it's something that you do that I'm like, oh, I do that too. And I connect, and we connect from there. So you just never know who's out there that's similar to you, that wants to connect with you because of who you really are and because of your quirks and all the things that make you unique. But my belief system really changed in believing what I thought was possible, with money, with, my entrepreneurship journey, with my family, with building my home, all of those things. So I had to, again, surround myself with like-minded people. I had to see what was possible. And, I feel like I've had not a great relationship with money growing up. I feel like there's a little bit of scarcity mindset with money, holding on to it, and really not truly understanding how it grows, how to invest it, and how to invest in yourself. And sometimes it can be scary to make big purchases or, to invest in yourself, but I really had to change that, and it has really changed my life in so many ways. And I've learned so much, I've gained so much, in different areas of my life. And one of the things I remember going to this conference, and it was a panel of millionaires plus. And I had never seen people my age, people younger than me, my age, around my age, that was making multiple figures on a regular basis like that. I had never heard of that because, again, my mind only knew 9 to 5, work your way up, work for this company. But to hear their journey, to see their growth, their process, to know that this was possible, to know that these amounts of money people are paying to reach their own goals, and they are reaching them and they're exceeding them. It let me know that really the sky is the limit, beyond, and that you can go as far as you think you can go. So if you think that your beliefs are that they're limitless and you can do as much as God has for you to do, then you can do that. But if you believe it stops here, then that is where your belief ends as well. But that just really opened up a lot for me. I was able to understand like their process. The path that God has for them was their path, but just the process of, being disciplined, being consistent, showing up no matter what. I've heard people say, be so delulu that it's going to work out. So I have told myself I am going to be delulu to know that the path that God has for me is going to work out. And it's helped me be very narrow focused and narrow minded. So while all of the other distractions are going on around me, or all the doubts and things are going on around me, even my own inner voice, sometimes I can shut it out and just stay focused on the goal. Because all those things are working against us. But literally, when you have your goals in mind, you have to shut that stuff out. You have to stay focused on God, stay focused on the path, and keep on going. If people are around you, putting their limitations on you, projecting on you, and their limits on you, you gotta say, I appreciate you, thank you, but you gotta eliminate that distraction at the time. You gotta distance yourself so you can reach the goals that you desire to reach. Also, my mindset I think I mentioned that it's shaped from going to those conferences, from being in that Mom to Mogul program, seeing what was possible through therapy. I think that also, after all of that, going through therapy and really looking at getting a deep dive of really what is going on. Why do I have these limited beliefs? Why don't I feel like I deserve self-care? Why don't I feel like I can make it in this industry? Why do I feel like things are just not happening for me? So therapy really helped to explore, like, where in my life was I told that I can't do this? Where in my life was my light dimmed? Who in my life had played a role in these things? And through therapy, I was really able to overcome those things, and I'm continuing to overcome those things, because once you dig up one piece, other stuff is going to come in there. But it was very important to do a deep dive of that in therapy, because what I love about the internet and coaching and advice, it's so great and it's a lot to take in. But therapy is a place that I can get one-on-one professional help to also dive deeper into that, so I can continue my belief system, and I continue having a growth mindset and really understanding the path that God has for me, and knowing that the path is bright, the path is open, and that there is so much for me to receive if I'm open to it. And I'm not letting all those distractions and things keep me down. I have found boundaries and speaking up as a result of that, learning what is for me, learning the things that I need, learning the things that are going to fuel my path, learning the things that are going to burn my path along the way. All of that is just so important to know, because you have to, if you really want to show up, if you really want to build that dream life, there are boundaries that you have to set around that. Everybody can't go. That doesn't mean that you have to sever ties with everyone, but when you are focused, you have to realize what things are fueling that path and what things are kind of severing it, or just burning out your path and not helping you reach some of those goals. A lot of self-reflection as well, after therapy, and just every day I'm doing some type of self-reflection. What went well today? What didn't go well today? What can I take from today and bring it into the next day? What is going to help continue to flourish, help my family to flourish, help my business to flourish. And also embracing the change and allowing the change, because sometimes we don't want to allow the change. We don't want the change to happen. But when you truly embrace where life is, you embrace the way that God has intended your life to be, things look different. Because as I said, but if you're just joining, as I said before, I had 3 goals in my life to build to what I consider my dream life. I wanted to, let me go back to them. Yep. I wanted to build a home, work for myself, and tell my story. And the funny thing, I'm doing all those things. So if you just see the highlight reel of all those things, I built my home, I work for myself, and I tell my story. But what you don't see is while building my home, I lost my dad. You know, I resigned from my job. I had a baby, which was a positive thing. And then with working for myself, there was a lot of failed launches, period, with no money, with no work. And then in telling my story, there's a lot of judgment. There could be some hurt feelings, some people who, you know, may resonate and may not resonate with it. So there's a lot of things that also are on the opposite side of that may not feel good, that may not look good, but I had to embrace that the path that God has me on. I'm still living my dream life, but everything is not going to look perfect. This last year, my eldest son, who's on the autism spectrum, has had multiple hospital stays and multiple sicknesses, and we just couldn't figure it out what was going on. And that was a very hard time. So as I'm trying to build my business, all that kind of went to a halt because he was priority and we had to figure that out. And I had a lot of why me moments, but again, that's why I put why not you, because even though we are going to go through our ups and downs, we can still reach our goals. We can still be on our path. It is the important part is how we embrace and accept the change. We accept the things that are happening. We may not like them, but things are going to occur, but I like to think of the bigger picture that I am still living in my dream life. Things are going to happen. You know, the world is what the world is. So we cannot control that. But what I can do is just pray and stay on the path that God has for me. And see, Vicky Long says, that's what happens to me. I don't know how to shift it off. Turn it off. Yes. I think, I'm trying to remember what you are referring to. Turn it off. The mindset. Let me know if you are still on there. Let me know what you're referring to, because I would love to circle back and comment on that, because I'm trying to remember. I know we were talking about the mindset part, but let me know. Let me know what exactly the section you were talking about, if you're still on. But thank you. I so appreciate you for watching and following along with me right now. But yeah, let me know what you're saying. This happens to me. I don't know how to turn it off. Let me know. So the fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth lesson, or the fifth step, is to rest and take breaks. This could be combined with another one. I have like 2 more. Mindset. Okay. You don't know how to turn it off. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for telling me. Yeah. And honestly, this over these 5 years that I have been on this journey, I feel like just in the last 2 years, it's really clicked. So it takes time. It is not an overnight thing. I never knew that I had to shift my mindset. I never knew that I needed to have these beliefs to be able to do the thing I wanted to do. I thought you say, I want to do this, and you just do it. But you really have to have that mindset along with it. You really have to have those beliefs. And even the belief system for me, that was a real eye opener, was the fact that I deserve to have rest as a mom, that it is not selfish to take care of yourself. We've heard these things, but literally there's a belief system where what we've seen, or what society says, or maybe what our moms have said, or just our, the path of the moms or grandmas working and showing up, and we may not see them taking rest, or maybe what somebody has said has shaped our beliefs to believe that I got to work, I got to sacrifice for my family. If I have time for me, I will take time, but if not, it's okay, because I'm going to do it that way. And a lot of us believe that. A lot of us have a hard time really taking that time for ourselves, or we feel judged, or we're ashamed when we do. And we don't know that we have that belief system, but those things have been placed upon us. Somewhere along the lines in our life, these belief systems have developed from something that we've seen, we've heard, we've been around, all those things that have been told to us. All those things really shift our mindset and how we view things. And if you desire to have a more broadened mindset, then these are definitely some shifts and some changes that can be done, things that you can do to maybe shift off the limiting beliefs and really open your mind up to all the limitless beliefs and possibilities out there. It really has shifted my mind in amazing ways. So thank you again for sharing that. So yes, rest and take breaks. So this one I feel like is a big one, because in entrepreneurship, we want to grind, we want to keep going, we want to do it. And while, yeah, there are periods that you grind and that you're going to be staying up late getting the thing done, but other times resting and taking breaks is so necessary. And I feel like when we rest and we take breaks, that's when we really get that clarity from God, that we get that additional discernment from God, and we get the answers from God. Because I know I've had times where I have these ideas, or maybe I don't have these ideas. You're welcome. I don't have these ideas. And I'm like, God, I can't think. I'm not creative. I don't know how to show up. I don't know what to do right now. And I've realized most of the time when I'm in that mood, I feel like, why am I doing this? This is, nobody cares, all those things. I'm typically tired and I'm burnt out because I have been burning the candle at both ends. I've been momming hard, wifing hard, and trying to do all the things at once. And the one thing that I really promote is a harmonic life, harmony in your life. And I think about our lives as a pie. If you think of a circle and a pie, you have the different sections of a pie. Harmony is when all those roles and responsibilities work together. And they work together because certain things are going to be prioritized at certain times. So when my child was in the hospital, that took the majority of the pie of my priorities. I couldn't really think about working at the time. I couldn't really think about being creative and coming up with the new things because I had to make sure that my child lived. It was kind of a matter of life or death. So that took majority of the priority. But if I have like a business launch, that's going to take more of priority than maybe some other areas in my life. So when I had a master class a while back, we did an activity of like, what is on your plate, or what does your piece of pie look like? So maybe this week you have, I don't know, 50% family, but then 25% is work. And the other 25% may be, I don't know, inserted here. But it looks different and it changes based on seasons and phases. And that's the one thing that is important, that life is fluid and life continues to go. So what may work for you this month may not work next month, may not work this week, may not work that week. So it's good to have that flexibility. But know that taking breaks and resting is okay. You are not a failure. You're not unproductive because you are resting, but you are really restoring yourself and you are giving yourself a time to rejuvenate and to hear from God. When you, the scripture, peace be still, really being still is when God really speaks to you, when he's able to we're able to listen. Because I know oftentimes we pray to God, we ask him for things, we thank him for things, but sometimes it's good to just be silent. And when we're moving and doing all the things, we're not really being silent because we are showing up in all the other areas, but we're not just being quiet so God can spiritually show up for us. So yeah, and also in that time, you're able to be present. I notice the time that I rest, I feel restorative. I feel like I am more present with my family. I'm not irritable and barking orders and things like that because I've had time for myself. I've had time for my body to catch up with everything. And my organs and all the systems have been able to kind of restore and go back to an equilibrium so they can get the energy to, go to the next thing. But having that rest is important. And that rest can be, it can be a nap, but it also can be just literally sitting down. It could be not doing something. So when you're sitting down, maybe you are in a silent moment. Maybe you are meditating. Maybe you are breathing. I love doing breathing exercises. I love stretching. I love going for walks, especially because the weather is nice now. Walks are amazing for all parts of your body, getting oxygen to your brain, to your body, to your organs, and drinking a lot of water, making sure that you hydrate, making sure that you're eating a healthy diet. All those things are a part of rest and a part of your restoration, and helps you to continue to go. It gives you those ideas, gives you the next big idea or the next big thing that you've been waiting on. But very, very important there. And then the last one, that was 5. I had an extra one that I said it was a bonus. I didn't really know where to place it, but I feel like it kind of fits in all of them. So we'll just say this is a bonus step or bonus tip. And that is to make room and make space for your goals. So often we want these big things to happen, but sometimes we don't have the space for them. And we be upset that, well, this didn't happen and this, and this. But did you have room for your goals? Did you make space for their goals? And making room and making space could simply be, like I said, a mindset shift, a belief that you have. It could physically be clearing a space. Maybe your house is cluttered. Maybe you've been trying to work on some projects. And I know for me, when I have clutter in my home, it clouds my brain and I'm not able to seek clarity, and I'm not able to be as creative. So I will focus on the task so I can show up and do that. Like I told my husband, he was like, go work. And I'm like, my house is in disarray. I need to clean up right now. I can't focus on work when I have spaces that need to be attended to. And that's just how I operate. So yeah, making room and making those spaces are just important to be able to show up and have the time to show up. And, Another part of that, making space for your goals, support. So my husband is a great support system for me. So when I know that I have a creative idea or I want to show up in a way, I talk to him to be like, hey, I want to work on this goal. And then we'll strategize about, what time of the day that I can work, what days that I can work and show up for this. And then he'll take the kids, or he'll be primary parent is what we call. And then I can go off and do my thing whenever we agreed on the timing to do so. Or he'll hold me accountable when I don't. Like last night, I was tired after all day Monday and I didn't want to come in here and work. But he was like, nope, not about to let you do that. And I'm so glad, because that little push really helped me to get a jump start on some of the things that I've been working on. And now I came in today being able to focus on this live, and then afterward being able to focus on the next steps of the things that I'm working on. So that support really helps to make space and make room, because you can't pull it out of anywhere. You know what I mean? Because we still have responsibilities. We have kids, we have work, we have our other roles and things that are going on. So if you don't carve out that time for you to do those things, even if it's not entrepreneur related, even if it's self-care, even if it's rest, we have to carve that time out. We have to make it known to our family, to our kids, to whatever our responsibilities are, because if we don't put it on that calendar, on that schedule, if we don't say it out loud, then it's not going to happen. And oftentimes as women, we will try to take whatever time is left, and oftentimes there aren't any time left. So we got to include ourselves on that as well. Communication, again, how you make room, you communicate with your support system, whoever that may be, about your goals, or about just making the time to get the thing done. Maybe it's research, maybe it's connecting with others, whatever it is. Practicing your craft, operating in your craft will only help you get closer to your goals and get you more experience in whatever it is that you're trying to do. And then, of course, it wouldn't be me without routines and systems. Making space and room for your goals and your dreams, you need routines and systems. If you have kids, they need structure. They need a system. We love our meal plans over here. We love our laundry routines, our cleaning routines. Our kids have their morning and after school routines, night routines, something that either me or my husband can do. So we all know what routines need to be done. So if I'm gone, he's primary parent and he can do the routines, or if he's gone, I can show up and do it, So even if your kids are stepping up in the home, there are things that they can do as well at each stage to help out a little bit. So my littles, my twins, they know how to sort their laundry and put it in the thing. They're learning how to press the buttons, but that's one less thing we have to do. So my littles, they like to pull the laundry. My 3-year-old and my 1-year-old, they like to pull the laundry out and put it in a basket. So it may take a little more time, but I'm teaching them skills. So these routines turn into into systems, which help our house to run like a well-oiled machine. It helps it to function. Like I said earlier, these things are going to change based on the season, based on, you know, what's going on in your life and your household. But that is a sure way, not having to think about what to cook, knowing who's going to cook it, that gives you room to do the thing that you need to do, because you're not wasting this mind space that maybe you don't already have thinking about food, or thinking about who's going to clean this, thinking about, oh, I got all these dishes in the sink. But you can think about, okay, we have these things in place. We know who's going to do this. And now I can show up for myself, so I can rest, so I can work on my business. I can reach a goal, whatever it may be. So those are my tips. Thank you, Vicky said, I like that. Make a space for your goals. Yep, it's very important. You got to make room for it. Got to make space for it. So I thank you all for joining me for another live and celebrating this 5-year journey with me, as I am 5 years into entrepreneurship and content creation. And I'm excited for what's to come for the next 5 years. And I'm continuing with my journey and living in my dream life. If you missed the beginning of it, go back and watch the replay. But yeah, I'm living in an answered prayer. I'm living in my dream life. And like I said, we have to get out of the mindset of thinking the dream life looks like what we see online. We have to come to reality. There's an Instagram versus reality, which is real. And yes, people may be in their lives, but it's their lives. We have to figure out what God intends for our lives and how are we going to get there. And some of these steps can definitely help you get to the next step. So if this was your sign, if you needed a sign to get started, get a jump start, then this is that. I would love to hear your progress. Let me be your accountability partner. Feel free to comment or DM me to let me know, how your progress is going with your goals or your mindset or making space. Like I said, maybe you are making routines for your home. Maybe you are decluttering in your home. I would love to know. I would also love to help you. Also, because again, support is necessary. So if you need help coming up with systems and routines for your home, if you are in need of some home management or some personal life skills or management, I am definitely here to help assist you along the way. As I've said, I'm celebrating 5 years in my business and the Prioritize Her business and community. So there's a lot more things to come within the next 2 weeks as I celebrate 5 years. So stay tuned for that. If you are not following me on Instagram, go ahead and follow me. If you are not subscribed on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube and join my newsletter, because I will be probably coming up with some type of challenge, some type of information for you as I celebrate. So I love to give tips and add value to your life. So some of those things will be coming as well. If you're on Instagram, in my bio, I have a link to my newsletter, or you can DM me newsletter and I will be happy to send you the link. On YouTube, it is also in my bio. So thank you all for joining me. I appreciate you for being here. Share this with a friend, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Have a good one. Bye. Oh, if you have any questions, I didn't see any questions. So if you have any questions, DM me. Okay, bye.